first SFBM, then bending and shear stresses. Okay. So in one of the questions we have missed. Okay, I think I have told in last class P by 2 instead of P. Then deflection of beam we have discussed. In deflection of beam, I think we have completed all the questions, right? Am I correct? We have discussed all the questions. Okay. So now the next, which is very small topic, indeterminate beam. Like we guys have studied indeterminate bar, indeterminate shaft, right? You guys remember? We have discussed in indeterminate bar, indeterminate shaft. Same way, we have indeterminate beam. So beam means a slender structure subjected to transverse loading is what? Beam, right? Now, initially when we discussed SFBM diagram, bending and shear stresses, we consider our beam is determinant. Either it's a cantilever or it's a simply supported beam, or what another beam we consider, it is a overhanging beam, right? So now here we will have some other cases. Okay, so we have discussed initially the type of beam. So there we have seen the fixed beam. Okay, we have seen the cantilever beam. So there, you know, indeterminacy comes in picture. So statically determinant beams are what? If the reaction forces can be calculated using equilibrium equation alone, then your beam is determinant beam. And here the number of unknown doesn't exceed the number of equilibrium equation. Okay, so example, simply supported beam, cantilever beam. You can see now statically indeterminate beam. What it is, if the reaction forces cannot be determined using equilibrium equation alone or only, then others method have to be used. What other method? We use the compatibility equations also. In this case, number of unknown exceeds the number of equilibrium equation. So this kind of beam is what? Statically indeterminate beam. Now example, I think this figure is not visible, right? Yeah, I think propped cantilever is not. Yeah, it is visible, right? Slightly it is visible. Yeah, faded. Yeah, I understand. No problem. I will draw it again. So this is one of the gate question in 2020 also asked, right? So there is a propped cantilever. Okay. So what we see here, when we have a cantilever beam supported with a roller support. So what will happen? There will be one extra reaction, right, at roller support. So now total number of unknown reactions are how many? How many? 4, right? 3 plus 1, right? 4. How many equilibrium equations we can have? We can have 3 equilibrium equation, right? So degree of indeterminacy is what? It is 4 minus 3, 1. Clear? Now if we have fixed beam, so fixed means what? If your cantilever is fixed on other side also, so this is what? Fixed beam. Now how many unknown reactions you will have? You can have 3 here, 3 here, so total is 6, right? And equilibrium equations again, how many? 3. So the degree of indeterminacy is how much? 6 minus 3 is what? 3. Clear? So this is again a gate question. Okay, this is now there is another kind of indeterminate beam is what? Continuous beam. Okay, but continuous beam is not in our gate syllabus. Continuous beam is not in our gate syllabus. Okay, how we can solve this continuous beam? There is six moment method. There is known as six moment method. Using that we can solve the continuous beam. Six moment method. Okay, it is given in some of the strength of material book like Ramamrutam and all. Okay, but it is not useful for us, means in gate syllabus it is not there. Now degree of static indeterminacy is what? The degree of static indeterminacy represent the difference between number of static unknown or reactions or internal forces and the number of static equations or equilibrium equation. So that we have already continuous beam I was talking, it is not in our gate syllabus. This is not in gate syllabus. Clear? Okay. Degree of static indeterminacy already we have told. It is what? The degree of static indeterminacy is what? Number of unknown reaction minus number of equilibrium equation. Okay, so the answer is 3, and this is gate question. This already we have discussed, right? This we have already discussed, right? Okay, yeah, so let's solve this question. This is from gate 2020 in AE, and previously it was asked in gate ME also, this question. I think we have solved this question already. If you guys remember, we have solved this question. So what is the question? As shown in the figure, a beam of length 1 meter is rigidly supported at one end, simply supported at other end, under the action of uniformly distributed load of 10 Newton per meter. The magnitude of normal reaction force at simply supported end. So, how to solve this question, guys? Simple way. Suppose this is UDL is Q, right? This is Q. So due to this Q, tell me what is my delta. See now what this will do. First understand this propped cantilever. What it going to do? What your propped cantilever going to do? It will restrict vertical movement at B. This we have discussed, right? This will restrict vertical movement at B. So that means what? Delta B will be 0. Am I correct? Am I correct or not? Now tell me guys, delta UDL. What is the delta UDL? I missed to share you guys one problem practice sheet where appendix from Gare where all the formulas are derived. Okay, I'll send you to after today's class, so that will be homework. Okay, yes, it is QL power 4 upon 48 EI. Now we know delta due to point load, it is how much? It is WL cube upon 3EI. Now guys, here what is your W? W is R, and that too it is not correct. 48 is not correct. Yes, it is not 48. It is 8 EI. Okay. Now guys, we know this reaction is acting upward. Reaction is going upward and load is acting downward. So my delta B will be what? It is delta UDL plus delta point load and is equal to 0. And we know these are two in opposite direction. These two are in opposite direction, right? Because one is downward and one is upward. So find out guys then R. How much R will come? So let quickly do it. QL power 4 upon 8 EI minus RL cube upon 3 EI. So from here R will be 3 by 8 W or 3 by 8 Q. It is 3 by 8 QL. So what is Q here? Q is 10 Newton per meter. What is the length? 1 meter. So what is the answer? What is the answer, guys? Exactly. Your from here R will come as 3.75. Now tell me, guys, was it tough question? See, even all this is not required. All this doing is not required. Why it is not required? We can remember whenever there is a UDL and it's a propped cantilever, always my reaction is 3 by 8 QL. We can remember, right? If we have practiced twice, thrice, right? We can remember this, right? And it came for 2 marks. So will you use any method? No method is required, right? Directly we can remember this formula. Is it okay? Okay. Now I will do this trick. What? Again, it's a propped cantilever, but my load is acting at mid. Now find the reaction, guys. Find the reaction. So you guys remember when there is a cantilever and load is at mid, what is the deflection at free end? What is the deflection at free end? How many of you remember this formula? 5 by 48 PL cube upon. We have solved 2 questions based on this that day in last class, right? This is the formula. What is the delta due to R? It is RL cube upon 3 EI. It is going upward and it is going downward. So tell me, what is the R? What is the R? It will be how much? 5 by, it will be 5 by 16, right? 5 by 16 P. So again, tell me, is it tough? If this question come in GATE syllabus, in your GATE exam, will it be tough? If it is acting at middle, generally they will give this only. Okay. In some case, In some case, you can have a question where your point load is acting at a distance A and it is B. Okay, this can be another question. And now I am giving this as a homework. This is homework. Okay, this is homework. Now what you can do here, there is formula. Okay, there is a formula in Gare book. For this point load, what is the delta? When load is not acting at mid, there is a formula in terms of A and B. That you have to equate equal to what? RL cube upon EI. Can you guys do this? Okay. Now, one more homework I missed here. Can you guys draw BM diagram for this? SFBM diagram. You have to draw both SF and BM diagram. This is the another homework. Okay. So please do, guys. For indeterminate beam also, let's draw SFBM diagrams. Let's draw SFBM diagram. Okay. So these are the homework. Now next category is what? Fixed beam. Fixed beam. So in fixed beam, what we see, first we have considered a UDL. Okay. It is subjected to UDL. So what is the speciality of UDL, guys? What is the speciality of UDL? It will give us symmetric loading, right? It will give us symmetric loading, right? So this is what the speciality of UDL. When you have the loading symmetrical, your reaction will be also symmetric, right? What I mean, your RA will be equal to RB, your MA will be equal to MB, right? Since the load is symmetric, your reactions will be same at both the ends. Am I correct? Due to load symmetry, because supports are similar, right? So this is the advantage. Now I know what will be your RA is equal to RB and it will be equal to what? It will be QL by 2. Am I correct? Am I correct or not, guys? So what is the advantage now here? And we already know MA equal to MB, but it is unknown, right? So how many unknown you have here? How many unknown you have, guys, here? You have one unknown, right? Total 4 unknown, right? No, RA and RB we have already found. We have only one unknown, right? Total like that 4 unknowns we have, right? But we have 3 equations, right? So you cannot solve. But we are using logic. Okay, we know due to load symmetry, my reactions will be same. Now, so basically, how we can find an MA or MB? Anyone? You cannot use moment equilibrium. You cannot find, right? Because if you use moment equilibrium, can you guys do moment equilibrium and find? No, because your sigma MA and sigma MB won't be 0. You cannot do moment equilibrium, because in case, what we know, in simply supported beam we do moment equilibrium, because we know at the simply supports my moment is 0, summation of moment should be 0. So what we can do here, in this question, like this, is this figure visible? No. Okay, no problem, let me do. Is it clear? Okay, so what we did, that one fixed end, right? One of the fixed end we divided in two part. How? One is propped cantilever and one is pure moment. Can we do? Right? Because we know at fixed end you have two reaction, right? One vertical reaction and one moment reaction when load is exactly acting transversely. Now here we know already, due to this point load, what is my downward deflection, what is my deflection? We know due to UDL what is the deflection, and this is what we consider the moment reaction. So we know the deflection due to all three, right? Is it clear or not? And we also know my total delta is what? 0. Am I correct? So now we know the deflection due to pure moment is how much? ML square upon 2EI, right? What is the deflection due to UDL? We already know it is QL power 4 upon 8EI, and it is acting downward. This is also downward because we consider the moment acting is hogging. We consider the moment acting is hogging, and we know the deflection due to point load. It is how much? RL cube upon 3EI, and what is your R? It is QL. So how much it? QL power 4 upon 6EI, and we know it is what? Going upward, right? Is it clear? It is going upward. So what we will get? My total delta. So my total delta is what? Delta moment plus delta UDL minus delta R is equal to 0. Now, or delta point. Now substitute here everything. It is MB L square upon 2EI, then QL power 4 upon 8EI, then minus QL power 4 upon 6EI is equal to 0. Guys, and we know this is equal to 0. So from here we can find MB. Find out, guys, MB, and which will be equal to MA. How much it is coming? If I remember, it will come QL square by 12 Yes, QL square by 12. Good. Right? So is it tough now? Tell me, guys. Is indeterminate beam tough if we use this approach method of superimposition? So best approach is method of superimposition. We know certain formulas. We must know certain formula. Using that, we can do quickly. Now, guys, this is a standard. Whatever we got, na, this MB, whatever we have got, this MB is QL square by 12. It is standard. We should know for fixed beam when there is a UDL, what is the moment reactions? Moment reaction is always QL square by 12, and what is the force reaction? It is QL by 2. These are the two standard. Oh, how got QL power 4 upon 6 CI? Sure. What is deflection due to point load? It is R. Sorry. Delta is what? RL cube upon 3 EI. What is the R? It is QL by 2. So what is the delta point load? It is QL power 4 upon 6 EI. Clear? Okay. So let's move to next question. This is what your BM diagram. This is another interesting thing. Please guys draw BM diagram. Can you guys draw BM diagram? Also draw SF diagram. Till now in your GATE exam they didn't ask. Okay. I think this they have asked already. This is another GATE question. This fixed one. It came in GATE A one time. You guys can check in one of the GATE paper. This is there fixed one. Okay. So guys, can you draw this SFBM diagram for this? Okay. Now I will tell the practical application. You guys know brackets, right? In many engineering applications, like this is the C section, simple bracket, right? This bracket is used, or channel section. So this channel section is can be idealized like this fixed structure. Okay, it can be idealized on fixed structure if this support is strong. Okay, but if you want to idealize conservatively, it should be idealized like simply supported. Okay, but less conservatively it can be idealized as fixed support if some load is acting here. So this is how idealization are done, and quickly by hand calculation people can find what is the bending stress, what is shear stress and all. Okay, so this is another question where you have fixed beam and load is acting exactly at mid. Can you guys solve this question? Because I have solved for propped cantilever. It can be solved similarly. This is L by 2. Can you guys solve this question? So it will be W by 2. This is W by 2. This is M. Now another one more thing I want to tell guys. Here, if you see, I have taken here what? My reaction as a hogging reaction. Okay, or my reaction as a hogging reaction. And finally, when we solved, we got M as positive. M we got positive value. That means what? Whatever the direction I have considered, it is correct. Is it clear? Reaction on this is hogging. Okay, so always remember, for fixed beam, if my load is transverse acting downward, my moment reactions are hogging. And that's why if you see our BM diagram, it is negative, then it became positive, then here it is negative. Is it clear? This is what the maximum positive value. It is not maximum. This is not maximum. It is what? Bending moment at mid. What is the maximum? Someone asked, what is the maximum bending moment? What will be the answer, guys? QL square by 24 or QL square by 12? Maximum bending moment is QL square by 12. Okay. Bending moment at mid is fine. It is QL square by 24. Okay. Now look in this question, guys. My reactions are known. My M is unknown. So what I can do? Again, I will use my same approach. I can divide this beam in two parts. One is a propped cantilever and one is what? End moment. Is it clear? Further, this can be divided in two parts. One is one load which is at cantilever with that load at mid, and another a cantilever where load is acting upward. And we know for this formula how much this delta W is how much, guys? It is 5 by 48 W by WL cube upon EI. Am I correct? Yeah. Saraj, you want to say something? Okay. Then we know delta RB is how much? It is R L cube upon 3 EI. What is the R? It is W by 2. So it is WL cube upon 6 EI. Now tell me, guys, what is the due to MB? Delta MB is how much? MB L square upon 2 EI. Am I correct? Now the summation where this is acting downward, this is acting upward, and this is downward. Do it and find out MB, guys. Find out MB. So this is another standard formula. What is my moment reaction? It is WL by 8. What is my force reaction? W by 2 for fixed end. Now here you can see, if you draw BM diagram, the positive value will be also WL by 8 and negative is also WL by 8. Is it clear? Is it clear or not, guys? Okay. Anyone? So guys, again homework. Draw SF and BM diagram. For your this one. This fixed one. Okay. Now let's see the last question. Okay. Where we have a load, I think this is done. Okay. Actually, it is asking deflection, but in this depth, they will not ask deflection. Okay. This is the deflection for, okay. Okay, no, this is fine. This is for bending moment. Now, guys, here the load is not at symmetry. Load is not acting at symmetry. Okay, load is not acting at symmetry. But still, one thing we can do, I can find RA and RB directly. How we can find? We know my RA will be what? This load into this distance by total distance. This you can derive also. Okay, you can find this by equations also using compatibility and all, but directly I can write it because previously also we have written when simply supported beam. So what is your RA and what is your RB? Your RA is what? PB by L, and what is your RB? PA by L. Am I correct? Okay. So once you know RA and RB, this problem can be resolved like this. This is A, this is B, and here this plus now due to this load, again there is a formula in Gare, I told, right? Due to load which is not at acting at what? Midpoint, we know the what is the deflection. We also know the deflection due to RB because RB we already know, and we know deflection due to MB. We can all club three together and we can find MB in terms of P and A and B. Is it clear? This approach is clear. The only thing what is important here, we need to know what is the deflection due to this load P. Yeah, it is PA square. I think it is, we have solved it. Correct, Lovin. Okay, it is not done, but it can be done. Good. So what you found, is it MB? Is it MB? Okay, deflection. Okay, that is the deflection, right? Oh, okay. Sorry, it is the deflection, right? Now, once we know the deflection, yeah, got it. You got. So this is what the deflection, right? So delta P is what? PA square upon 6EI 3L minus A, right? So we know delta P, we know delta R, and we know delta M, right? So from here we can find MB. Now to find MA, what you have to do? You have to take moment. Okay, you mean this is in new? Okay, okay. I think uh, rubbing option here. I don't. Okay. Anyway, it is in numerator. Okay, you mean it is 3L minus A upon 6EI. Okay, fine. So you guys can solve this question. Right? So this is what we have from gate perspective. From gate perspective, this is what we have from indeterminate beam. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt from previous class or anything? You guys are solving assignments? Others, everyone, please. Practice is very much required. In GATE exam, practice is very much required. Okay. Learning is fine, but learning is not enough to get best rank. Practice, practice, and who all are writing exams, write exams also. Okay. How to perform in pressure situation, that you guys will learn through writing more exams. And practice is what you can solve questions easily in pressure situation. Okay, so these two things are very important. When you solve assignments, you will able to solve questions in exam. And exam is where you learn how to perform well in pressure situation. So please guys keep doing. Now if no doubt, then we will go to next topic. Any doubt, guys? Anyone? Is there any doubt? Okay. If no, then let's look into this topic. Thin cells. What is thin cells? Where we see in day-to-day life gas cylinder, right? So gas cylinder is what? A thin cell structure. In aerospace or in atomic energy, in many places we see a dome structure. Okay, a dome. So dome structure is, or we can see, our fuselage in aircraft, fuselage is there, right? So fuselage is what? Basically a not exactly cylindrical, but kind of cylindrical cylindrical cell, right? Thin cell. So thin cell will always undergo a pressure loading, and due to pressure loading in thin cells, you will have in-plane stresses. Okay, you will have in-plane stresses. So thin cell is example of plane stress problem. Thin cell is what kind of problem? It's a plane stress problem. Thin cell is a plane stress problem case. Okay, so the loading though will be perpendicular to surface. The loading is what? Pressure loading. So it is acting always what? Normal to surface. But my stress is, if you take this is as a cylinder, and this is what one small element of this surface of the cylinder. My stresses will be in plane. Okay, my stresses along radial directions are neglected. Okay, is it clear? Is this point? Your stresses developed in the thin cells will be in plane. Okay, and my radial stresses will be negligibly small. Am I audible? So my stresses will be very small. Now, what two kind of stresses developed in thin cells, or if you take cylindrical cell, is what circumferential stress, or it is also known as hoop stress, and second is longitudinal stress, or it is also known as axial stress. Is it clear? Now, how we derive this circumferential stress and hoop stress, we can see here some three-dimensional picture I will show you guys. Okay, I think here one more picture I kept. It is not there, is it? Is it? I think I kept somewhere. Okay, it is not there. Okay, I think it's a old document. It is not there, it seems. Okay, no problem. We will discuss everything. Okay, I think in final document I shared with them. Okay, I think this is the old document, so no issue. Now guys, here, one moment. Let me check that document if I have. Yeah, is it clear? So this is the latest, for this we will refer. Okay, so now is it clear how my loading, how my stress element is taken? Are this picture clear, better? So first, what we do to understand this circumferential stress or hoop stress and this longitudinal stress or axial stress, we can cut this cylinder by two plane, either by this plane. Is it clear? It will divide it in like this two part, or we can cut by this plane, so it will look like this. Is it clear? Either this plane or by this plane. Both plane are perpendicular to each other. Is it clear? We can cut. When you cut, you will see when you cut this cylinder, you will see this is what my circumference. This is my circumference. So this sigma 1, this is along my circumferential direction. You can see. So this sigma 1 is acting on this material and this material. Am I correct? So my force due to this sigma 1 is what? It is sigma 1 into B into T into 2. Is it clear? Is it clear or not, this force? This is force due to sigma. Now, there is one force which is due to what? Pressure. Now, guys, whenever there is a curved surface and pressure is acting, you guys know, do you guys know this? Whenever there is a curved surface and pressure is acting normal to that, then my resultant force will be what, guys? Anyone? My resultant force will be what? It will be what? It will be that pressure into projected area on vertical plane. Is it clear this point? Why? Why this? Anyone? Because this pressure will have two components. One will be horizontal, one will be vertical. So what will happen? Whatever the pressure above your midline will have two component. One will go in vertical, one will be horizontal. Whatever the pressure acting below this line will have one component downward and one in horizontal. So this vertical will cancel each other. Vertical will cancel each other. Okay, only horizontal will be added. So what can be the force? This projected area into pressure. So what is my projected area? It will be 2R into B. And what is my pressure is what? P. So this is what force due to pressure, and force due to stress is already we know it is 2 sigma T into B. Now this and this is in this and this is equal when it is in equilibrium. When your thin cell is in equilibrium, your F sigma is what? Fp. Right? So you can see here, right? So what is your sigma C? It is PD by 2T. What is the D? It is 2R. So it is PD by 2T or PR by. Is it clear? Circumferential stress. So what is the longitudinal stress? So for longitudinal stress, your equilibrium will be this one. Okay. So from here, what we see, what is your material area? Tell me, guys. In thin cells, what is your material area? What is material area? It will be 2 pi RT. What will be your material area, guys, here? It is 2 pi RT. How it is B, man? this material area, because we are taking equilibrium of C. So it is 2 pi r is circumference into T is what my thickness. Now here again, we know whenever there is a pressurized cylinder, both the ends will be fixed, right? Both the ends will be fixed, right? Closed end, right? You can see your gas cylinder in a home. Ends are closed, right? So at the end, you will have pressure acting, and what will be the force due to pressure in axial direction? It will be P into pi r square. Am I correct? Force due to pressure in axial direction, and this is what force in axial direction due to axial stress. Is it clear? So from here, what we got? What we got here? What is your sigma 2? It will come as PR upon 2T, or it is PD by 4T. So this is sigma 2, which is known as sigma axial or sigma longitudinal stress. So which is higher, sigma circumferential or sigma longitudinal? See, of course, cylinder is hollow only, right? Lorentz cylinder is hollow, na? Where your axial force will be balanced? It's a hollow only. You are saying it is not fixed at the end. See, if it is not fixed at end, then it will not have axial stress. It may have only circumferential stress, because it will freely expand in axial direction. Okay, so circumferential stress is always more than axial, because it's a PD by 2T and PD by 4T. Now this thin cell will be important when we have, these questions, theory of failure. In TOF, in theory of failure, many times your questions will be clubbed with thin cell concepts. Now, what is my principal stresses, guys? In this case, what is my principal stresses? My sigma C and sigma longitudinal stress itself will be my principal stresses. Clear? Now, when you talk about maximum shear stress, then there will be two kind of stress. One will be in plane max shear. My in plane max shear will be what? Sigma C minus sigma L by 2, which will be nothing but PD by 40. Is it correct? PD by 40 or PD by 80? PD by 80. Getting my point? In plane. Okay. If they say max out of plane shear, what will be your answer? Anyone? Max out of plane shear. What will be the answer? 0? No. There will, you guys know what is your tau max 1? It is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. What is your tau max 2? It is sigma 2 minus sigma 3 by 2. What is the tau max 3? It is sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2. What is sigma 3 here? Sigma 3 is 0. So this tau max 1 and tau max 2 are what? Out of plane max shear. This tau max 3 is what? In plane max shear. Is it clear? So what will be a tau max 1? Tau max 1 is sigma 1 by 2. What is tau max 2? It is sigma 2 by 2. Now, which is highest among these three? Which is highest? Which is the highest, guys? My highest will be tau max 1. My highest will be tau max 1. And it is what? Sigma 1 by 2 means it is PD by 40. Okay. So whenever we have theory of failure, we have to use tau max 1, which is how much? PD by 40, not this one. Sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2. We should not use this. This is what in plane max here. But in case of theory of failure, the maximum value we have to use. So which is how much? PD by 40. Clear? Is this clear? What is the in plane and what is the out of plane max shears? How we find and which is more? You know, all Indian author, I don't know, some of the Indian author, which even UC Jindal do this mistake. In UC Jindal, if you see the problem, theory of failure, they take this. This is wrong. Your gate answer will not be correct if you use this one as a max here. Okay, in theory of failure, you have to use this one. Okay. So you know now all this. So this is what this is in plane. Okay, this is out of plane. Oh, sorry. This is out of plane one direction. This is out of plane two direction. Okay. Yeah. Now once you know stresses, what is next? Strain. So how you find strain? It is from your stress strain relationship. Is it clear? So what is my longitudinal strain? My longitudinal strain will be what? Sigma L by E minus nu sigma sigma circumferential by E. Right? So this is what formula for your longitudinal strain. PDL by 40E 1 minus 2 nu. So what is circumferential strain? Epsilon C is this, which is sigma C by E minus nu sigma L upon E. So what is the formula? PD by 2TE or PD by 4TE 2 minus nu. Is it clear? And we know my circumferential strain is nothing but change in diameter to original diameter. So what is my change in diameter? It will be PD square upon 2TE 1 minus nu by 2. Is it okay? Anyone? Any doubt here? What is the longitudinal strain and change in length? Change in length. Your longitudinal strain will be what? It will be delta L by L. So my change in length is how much? PDL upon 4TE 1 minus 2 nu. Is it clear? Okay. Now look here. Once you know longitudinal strain and circumferential strain, next is what? Volumetric strain or change in volume. So we know the what is the volume of the thin cell? It is pi d square by 4 into L. So differentiating and using this, we can find this is what my volumetric strain, which is delta V by V is what? 2 delta d by d plus delta L by L. So it is nothing but 2 times circumferential strain plus longitudinal strain. Is it clear? My volumetric strain in thin cell is what? Thin cylindrical cell is what? Twice of circumferential strain plus longitudinal strain. Next is what? What is my change in thickness? How you can find change in thickness, guys? Anyone? How you can find change in thickness? This will be nothing but epsilon z, right? So what is your epsilon z, guys? It is minus nu sigma c plus sigma L by E. Am I correct? This is from plane stress problem, right? So what is your epsilon z? Delta T by T. So you can see here my change in thickness is independent of initial thickness. What we see, guys, here? Change in thickness is independent of initial thickness. Is it clear? It depends on material property, diameter and applied pressure load. Everyone please. Fine. So this is the whole about cylindrical cell where application, the simplest application of this thin cylindrical cell is in our gas cylinder. Okay, or you can see aircraft fuselage, or you can see pipes, you know, the pipe carrying fuel. Okay, pipe carrying fuel is also kind of getting or is loads acting in this thin cell condition. Okay, next is what? Spherical cell. thin spherical cell. You know, in strength of material there is thick cell also. Some of you might have studied. Is it right? Thick cell. But in our GATE exam it is not there. In GATE exam it is not in our syllabus. Okay, we have only thin cell, so we will not discuss thick cell part. Okay, but it can be, you know, some formulas are there. If someone knows, we can use those formula and find. Now thin spherical cell, what is the you know, advantage in thin spherical cell? To take equilibrium, if you cut this spherical cell by any plane passing through center, what we will get? By any plane passing through center, you will get two identical hemisphere. You cut by any plane, like this plane, or if you take any other plane, you will get two identical hemisphere. Okay, you can cut by any plane. So that means what happens, if you take an element on a spherical cell, you will see both your sigma circumferential will be equal to sigma longitudinal. Okay, so that is what the advantage. Okay, and this can be found by single. This is what the equilibrium. So here we can see my sigma is acting on this circumference. The area of circumference is how much? It is 2 pi r into t, and this is equal to what? P into projected area of this curved part. Am I correct? So what is your sigma here? It is PR upon 2T. So this is nothing but PD by 40. So in spherical cell, your sigma circumferential is equal to sigma longitudinal is equal to PD by 40. Clear? Is this clear? Okay. Now again, Sam, principal stresses. What is my principal stresses? PD by 40, comma PD by 40. What is my tau max? What is the my tau max? If they simply say tau max, then what you will write? Out of plane or in plane? If they simply say tau max, what you should write? Out of plane or in plane? No, you have to write out of plane. Tau max means maximum of all three. Whenever they simply mention tau max, you should use maximum of all three, which is what? Out of plane. Okay, if they say specifically in plane, then only you use that formula, sigma c minus sigma l by 2. This is what in plane. Okay, clear? This point is clear. So in this case, we know my tau max is sigma 1 by 2, and it is PD by 8t here. And we know tau max in plane. In plane, how much? It will be PD by how much? In plane 0, exactly. You are very good. Very good, Lovin. It is 0. In plane it is 0. Exactly. It is 0. Okay. And one more point I want to mention, in spherical cell, if you take any orientation, your tau will be 0. Means in all the orientation, tau is 0. Okay, so your all the planes are principal plane. You will have only normal stresses. There is no in plane shear for spherical cell. For spherical cell, guys, there won't be any shear stress if you take any plane in your if you take any orientation of plane. Is it clear this point? Why tau is 0? You know tau formula? It is what? What is your tau formula? It is sigma y minus sigma x by 2 into sin 2 theta plus tau cos 2 theta. Now if you take any, tau is already 0 here, sigma y is equal to sigma x. So for any theta value, your tau is what? 0. Your tau is 0. Is it clear? So you know principal stresses. Now we know in plane max shear, we know out of plane max shear also. What is next? Strain. So again here guys, note is that in theory of failure for thin cylindrical cell, or here for thin spherical cell, we should use how much? Tau max we must use. Okay, we use what? Out of plane shear, which is what? Tau max 1. Now next what we can discuss? Strain part. So what is my strain in any direction? My strain is what? In any direction it is what? Sigma c by E minus nu sigma L by E. Now sigma c and sigma C and sigma L are same, so it is change in diameter by diameter is how much? PD by 40, 1 minus nu. So my change in diameter is this. I know this is my volume, and later on we will find delta V by V equal to 3 times delta D by D. It is nothing but 3 times epsilon C. Clear? And change in thickness also we can find. It is minus nu times PD by 2E. Again here we see my change in thickness is independent of initial thickness. Is it clear? Okay, so that's all from formulas. Let's see in the problems. Solve this guys, first problem. So it's a simple questions and it is from GATE ME. So the ratio of circumferential stress to longitudinal stress for thin spherical cell is what? Sigma C by sigma L is how much? It is PD by 2T upon PD by 4T is how much? 2. Right. So let's do the poll to see who all are active in class. Okay, let's publish the poll. I think few people are not active. Okay, so D is the answer. Next question. A gas is stored in a cylindrical tank of inner radius 7 meter, wall thickness 50 mm. The gas pressure of the gas is 2 megapascal. The maximum shear stress in the wall is. Now tell guy what it will be. It will be PD by 4T, right? Because they didn't mention anything. So we have to consider out of plan max. So which is nothing but PR by 8T, right? Everything is given. Please find out tau max. What is the answer, guys? C is the answer. Yes, C is the answer. Everyone, please. What is the answer? Sorry. Okay, so still some people are not active. So it's the answer. Next question. Read the question, guys. A thin gas cylinder with internal radius 100 meter and 100 mm is subjected to internal pressure 10 megapascal. The maximum permissible working stress is restricted to 100 megapascal. The minimum cylinder wall thickness for safe design must be. So the maximum permissible working stress is how much? It is sigma circumferential and it is how much? PD by 2T. Now this is given as 100. Remaining everything is given. Find the thickness.
Sir, in previous question, isn't it PD by 2T maximum tau max?
A tau max is what? Tau max is sigma 1 by 2, na?
Okay. Got it.
Find the answer. Is it T is equal to 5 mm? Everyone? 10 mm. How many? 10 mm. 10 mm. R is how much? It's a D. So D is 2R. Rohan, please check. So 10 mm. So 10 mm should be the answer. 19 mm, Lovin. 10 mm. Okay. Okay. Let's see the next question. A long, thin-walled cylindrical cell closed at both the ends, subjected to an internal pressure. The ratio, yeah, it's the same questions. What is the answer? C is the answer. C is the answer. Again, it's a repetitive questions. Again, it came in GATE ME. Read this question. A thin cylinder of inner radius 500, thickness 10 mm, subjected to internal pressure 5. The average circumferential stress. So sigma C is how much? It is a PD by 2T. Find out, guys. B is the answer. B is the answer. B is the answer. So next, read the questions. A closed thin cylindrical pressure vessel having an internal diameter thickness 10 mm is subjected to internal pressure 4 megapascal. The maximum shear stress. What is the guy's answer? Now what your usage in the do? He will give it as sigma C minus sigma L by 2. So your answer is PD by 8T, which is not correct. What is the answer? It is PD by 2T. So how much it will come? This is wrong. Yeah, PD by 40. It is what? Actually sigma 1 by 2. So what is the answer, guys? What is the P is given? 4 megapascal. What is the diameter? 1000 mm. What is the thickness? 10 mm. Okay. So 100 megapascal is the answer. Next question, look here. What it is given? A compressed air tank having inner diameter 480 mm, wall thickness 8 mm is formed by welding two steel hemispheres. If the allowable shear stress in the steel is 40 megapascal, find the maximum permissible pressure inside the tank. So we know tau max. How much it is for spherical vessels? It is PD by 8T and given as 40. So what has to be found here? Find out P here. So P will be 40 into 8 into 8 by 480. Find the answer, guys. 5.33 megapascal. Everyone, please find the answer. Is this clear? Is this clear? Anyone has any concern here? Okay, so let's see next question. Yeah, this is on strain part. So what is given? A strain gauge is mounted on outer surface of thin cylindrical pressure vessel in the circumferential section. In diameter and thickness of the cylinders are given respectively. Young's modulus and Poisson's ratio of the materials of the cylinder are given respectively. Find the pressure in megapascal inside cylindrical vessel when strain gauge indicate strain as this. Right? Now strain gauge is mounted in what? Circumferential direction, right? So we know epsilon c is how much? It is PD by 2TE. It is how much? 2 minus nu. Am I correct? This is what my circumferential strain for thin is cylindrical pressure, right? Am I correct? Now everything is given, guys. Find the pressure. Okay, fine. So what is the pressure? 800. Everyone please check it is correct or wrong. Okay, 800 megapascal is the answer. Is the answer. All of you must solve questions, okay? Simply watching is not going to help. Please, guys, keep solving questions. Keep pen paper with you guys. Okay. Others, Ishwar, Ishwar, are you there? Okay. So I am publishing the result. Okay. So let's see the answer. Answer should be okay. Question number 9, please read, guys. This we have already done. A thin-walled spherical pressure vessel made of linear elastic isotropic material, radius r, thickness t before pressurization. When subjected to internal pressure P, element of the pressure vessel's wall experience a state of stress described by this PR by 2t comma 0 in Mohr circle. The reduction in wall thickness due to pressurization. What is the answer? It is independent of thickness, right? What is the change in thickness? It is mm, delta T is what? Minus nu upon. What is the answer? PD by 2E, right? Am I correct? For a spherical vessel. So it is what? Independent of thickness. Is this clear? Also, it depends on elastic properties also. So this is your MSQ. This question is what? Is it clear? Because E is also there. So it depends on both E and it depends on E and it is independent of T. Is it clear? So that's all from this spherical cell. So spherical cell, mostly it's a small topic and it is always or most of the time clubbed with the theory of failure problems. Many times these spherical cells are clubbed with theory of failure problem. If you take GATE aerospace, majority of the time they have clubbed problem with thin cell. Okay, so fine then. Done from my side. Tomorrow we will discuss buckling of column. So buckling of column is your second last topic. Okay, in SOM. buckling of column, then theory of failure. So this till theory of failure in GATE exam, either it is aerospace or mechanical, they ask around 12 to 14 marks. They ask 12 to 14 marks. So it is 10% of your GATE marks. Okay, more than 10% in your GATE exam will be SOM. Okay, every year minimum 10% is SOM. Okay, after aptitude it has highest weightage. After aptitude this subject has highest weightage. Okay, which last question? It is 8 megapascal or 16? Some people got 16. I am not sure why you are getting Dinesh 8. Check it. You can check your my formula. Whatever I have written is wrong. Okay, possible whatever formula I have written is wrong. No, I think it is correct. Okay, I wrote wrong formula. Okay, possible I have written wrong formula. I don't remember. Let me come. We have formula. Yeah, I think I have written wrong formula. So guys can correct that. Okay, that answer. Yeah, formula is here. Circumferential, right? No, no. What? Okay, let me check the problem. What is asked? Circumferential strain, right? So let me check the formula for circumferential strain. Yeah, I got your point. I got, guys. Check the answer. This should be the, so it is PD by 4 TE 2 minus nu. I have written only, guys, check it. Okay, here I did mistake. Question number 8, please guys check. Question number 8, please guys check. Okay, so it is this formula. So I missed 2 in denominator. So I'll go here, please guys. It is PD by 4 TE. Okay, now is it correct? So it will